Coming to you live from my apartment, it's Rob Has a Podcast. And now here's the guy who starts all of his live shows X minutes late, Roman numerals joke. Rob Sesternino. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our live Amazing Race recap here on a Monday night. And we have a very fun show talking about episode number 7 of Amazing Race All-Stars. And here with me tonight is my co-host for all things Amazing Race, my partner for the Amazing Race, Jessica Leese. Jessica, how are you?
I'm great, Rob. How are you doing?
Doing very good here on a very busy Monday here on robhasawebsite.com because we have just like the Amazing Race said, hey, we're going to take Mark and we're going to take Mallory and we're going to put them together and we're going to make a new team. And here is a new team. So what we have here tonight is that we've taken 2 teams from Amazing Race 23 whose partners couldn't be with them, and we've made a new team. First, let me introduce you to the person that you can see here tonight. Here is from the team of Brandon and Adam. Here is Brandon. Brandon, how are you?
I'm excellent. This is the first time I've ever been on a Google Hangout.
Yes, well, welcome to the world of Google Hangout. And now here is somebody that we couldn't quite get his bandwidth right, so we said let's prioritize the audio over the video since most people are going to be listening to this on the audio anyway. Here is from Tim and Danny. Here is Tim.
Hey guys, how are y'all doing today?
Okay.
I'm sorry, but like my Google Hangout sucks, and this is just as hard as it is going to LAX. I just can't do it.
Well, we can hear you great, and that's the important thing. So you could be naked for all we know, or dressed up like a gladiator, and it'll be the theater of the imagination right now.
Yeah, well, we have the audio. That's the important thing, so you can sing for us.
Oh,
wow. Fantastic.
Tim, you should get naked, and then last second, try and get the video in.
You might make that happen. We'll see.
Okay. Great. All right, so this show on Monday night, what we like to do is get a lot of questions in from you guys because on Sunday, Jessica and I already told you our thoughts about the episode. So we want to hear from you guys. We want to know your questions. So we've got the chat room going on robhasawebsite.com. Plus, we've got Twitter open. You can use the hashtag RHAP. Jessica Frey is looking at all your tweets. And you can also post your questions on our YouTube channel at robhasawebsite.com/YouTube. Okay, so first off, I know that people are going to have a lot of questions on where your respective partners are. All right, so Brandon, why don't you start with Adam? Give us the update on what he's up to.
Adam's out in the middle of the woods. That's where he lives. He has no internet. He has to touch his phone antenna to a car battery in order to make a phone call. So he's building his house, and yeah, I don't think this would ever be possible for him.
Oh no! How does he live? No Google Hangout.
Yeah, he just doesn't get on the internet.
Okay. So, what kind of life is that? There you go. Do you guys just flip a light on over there?
Yeah, we found one.
Okay.
My wife was concerned that my face was too dark.
Okay. Did she attach a light to a car battery?
No. Well, I don't live in the woods.
Okay.
I have the internet. I'm building my own house, but it's in a city.
All right, well, that's good to know. All right, and Tim, what is the update on Danny? What's he up to?
Danny's working right now. He's in nowhere, Texas, on an oil rig right now working. So.
Okay, so he can't be with us either then, because I guess you can't get on Google Hangouts either if you live in a house or live in some sort of a commune, or if you're on an oil rig. So those are the 2 main limitations for Google Hangout, right, Jess?
Apparently.
Apparently. All right, good. All right, so let's get into talking about some things with the episode. Of course, we're reaching the point of no return. We've got U-turns coming up and all sorts of great stuff in these last couple of weeks of Amazing Race. So let me hear first from you guys your thoughts on your former racing buddies, the Afghanimals, and whether you guys have been impressed with how they've been racing here on the All-Stars. Let's start with Brandon.
I love the Afghanimals. I get a lot of emails and asked all the time about if I hate them because they U-turned us, and we said immediately that we would have U-turned anybody else. So I love the Afghanimals. I think they're doing great. They're amazing competitors. They love that game. They know everything about that game. I'm not surprised they're doing awesome.
All right, and Tim, what about you? What's your take on the Afghanimals 2.0?
Yeah, the Afghanimals, they're doing awesome, man. I think they're doing a lot better this season than they did last season. Um, they're at the top of the pack, or middle of the pack most of the way. I think they're going to be probably one of the top three, or the final three teams going into the finale, so I'm pulling them pretty good right now.
What do you
And
think
plus,
they're doing differently this time around than in your season?
I think they're a little, like our season, we thought they were sneaky, right? So everybody was against the Afghanimals the whole time. But to us, like, it was everybody's first time racing, so we're all trying to get to know each other rather than racing. But those guys, they were in it to win it at the very beginning. So I think that's where it came off. They're a little sneaky because they're just doing their own thing, and everybody just want to say, "Hey, my name's Tim. How are you?" You know, kind of thing. So we thought they were sneaky, and then All Stars, I think they're more. They're not being as sneaky. They're actually helping the other teams. Like you saw them help Big Easy and John and Jessica at the roadblock. If that was our season, I don't think they would have done that unless it was the Ice Queens. So.
Now, do you feel like that there's been an overcorrection where they were like trying to be too sneaky on the Amazing Race 23, but now they're back on Amazing Race 24, and they really kind of could have screwed themselves last night because I think they believed that Jen and Caroline were still behind them, and they say, okay, everybody, here's the answers to the quiz, and potentially they could have gotten passed by Flight Time and Big Easy or John and Jessica, and they could have actually been eliminated from the race. Have they gone too far with trying to be these nice guys?
Oh, absolutely. I thought that was going to bite them in the butt, actually. And, like, before they told them the information, they were like, you're going to let us win this leg or you're not going to U-turn us next time. So whenever they said that, they thought they weren't going to get help. Or whenever they said that, they thought John and Jessica or Big Easy, Flight Time and Big Easy weren't going to pass them. But in that situation, they'll just say that, and then once they actually get to running to the final map, they're going to pass them if they could.
Yeah, Brandon, were you saying that where was this new leaf that they turned over from the Afghanimals in Amazing Race 23?
Well, I don't think, they were really that. Everyone says they're sneaky and everything. I think to begin with, they were just, in 23, they were just trying to make jokes and mess with people just for fun. And then everybody kept saying how sneaky they were and everything, and I think they just kind of embraced it and just was like, yeah, sure, we'll continue that. But in this one, I think they just finished the other one, got to go on this right after, so they've done it more recently than anybody else. They're just fresh. They just played the game and they're ready to a do-over. How could they not do good?
Okay, let's take some questions from the audience as we go along here. This is from Spicy Wasabi X, wants to know, in a secret scene interview at the mat, Phil said the Afghanimals were running the same race as last season, but were perceived as sneaky, but this season they're perceived as competitive. Why in season 23 was there an anti-Afghanimal sentiment? And was that from production or not from production, but from the other teams in the race or from the people at home?
I think the reason that everyone thought that on our season was that at the beginning they were such big fans and they were ready to just play the game, and I think that everybody else was ready trying to make friends and be friendly, and they just didn't really care about that. They wanted to win, and so that rubbed people the wrong way when you don't know anyone. And I don't know, I always got along. Adam and I both loved those guys and got along with them great. So I don't know.
Tim, what do you think about that?
Yeah, exactly what Brandon said. But they're just out there to win. They're going to go hard. They're very competitive guys. And that's with everybody that's on All Stars. This is their second or third time around racing, and so they all know what the other teams did in the previous race. So everybody's just doing what they did plus doing better. So.
Now, Jessica, I know you weren't the biggest fan of the Afghanimals last season, but I know they've won your hearts in Amazing Race 24. You wrote about them in your blog today, and this stunt they pulled with giving out the answer on that roadblock. I'd love to hear more about your thoughts because we didn't really talk about this a ton last night.
Yeah, I thought it was a huge mistake. I think it was another case of, and we saw them do this a lot last season, they would strategize just for the sake of strategizing. And they're like, we're going to make big moves. It's like the people on Survivor that go and flip on their tribe mates just so they can kind of make a splash. And it felt like they were they had a bigger picture in mind than what was actually going on there, and I felt like they could have ended up screwing themselves pretty badly.
I don't know. For me, I feel like maybe the difference for Leo and Jamal from Amazing Race 23 to Amazing Race 24 was Amazing Race 23, they were all about the girls. We got to talk to these girls. We got to meet girls everywhere. And all of a sudden in Amazing Race 24, it's like now Jamal got married in between the seasons. Is that correct? Do I have the timeline right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
and now it's like now their head is completely in the game.
Well, I mean, on this last episode, Leo is still trying to hit on some ladies. So, Leo's, he's a ladies' man. I don't think anything's changed there.
I think that maybe between if the two of them are single, they're like, yeah, let's go look for girls. Let's try to go flirt with these girls. And maybe because Jamal is married now, maybe he's saying like, no, Leo, we have to focus on the race. And I think it's paying dividends.
Jamal was engaged whenever he went on our race, but his wife said, "Go ahead and do what you got to do to win the race." So
yeah,
so he's going on.
I think doing the one right before, I think they're just focused. Like I said, they had wanted to be on the show for so long, and now they got to do it twice in a row. Like they're ready. They're just so pumped. Look at Leo. He started lifting weights. He got all huge. He's way bigger than he was when we raced.
Yeah, they're Hollywood now, I think.
Well, yeah. Hollywood reality royalty.
Yeah. Nick 2S wants to know, would you have rather have the detour be actual chariots and robotic gladiators? Okay, would you have rather seen real chariots and a remote control gladiator?
Yeah, I think that would be a lot more interesting to see than a little remote controlled car. But.
You wouldn't have wanted to go remote control car racing in Italy? Isn't that everybody's dream?
I think a remote control gladiator is going to be a little expensive to be crashed all the time.
I'll be afraid that gladiator went AWOL and started going after the people instead.
Yeah. We'll hold off on the robot gladiator. I think Skynet is working on that currently as we speak. Okay. Nick
I'm not right there.
Nick wants to know, where does Flight Time's roadblock mistake rank in the history of misread clues? Jessica, do you have some thoughts on that, the Flight Time misreading the clue?
Well, the Globetrotters have never been the best at details. They always tend to miss something, but I would figure that, their third time out, they would have had a better handle on it.
Okay, but was it a historic misread of the clue? I would think not, right?
No, it doesn't rank in the top 5, I wouldn't think, but it's just kind of, I was watching that happen, I'm just like, oh, that's classic Globetrotters.
Something that came up in my exit interview with John and Jessica today, I had asked them about when Big Easy was running to the mat, he dropped his bag. And I wanted to know if he had to go back and get it. And they said that as soon as you see Phil, you're allowed to drop your bag and race to the mat. And I'm curious, why don't more teams do this? As soon as they see Phil, just drop the bag and then book it for the mat when we get to some of these situations where it's a foot race.
Yeah, I mean that is the rule. The rule is as soon as you see him, you can drop it. You can't leave it in your taxi, and go back and get it after you check in. But that's their rule, and I don't know why anyone would continue to hold it when they're in a foot race. But I mean, you're just you're so tired and sleep deprived and not eating right. You're not thinking straight at that point. You had to bring your backpack everywhere. You're constantly going, oh, did I leave my backpack? Because you don't want to leave it in a taxi or something. So, I mean, you're not thinking, hey, I should drop this. You're just trying to get to Phil.
Tim, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, when it's a foot race, you would think to drop your bag, but maybe it's like a populated area, and maybe they're afraid that someone's going to steal their backpack. Maybe like Mark, he had to go back. He thought maybe someone was going to steal it. I don't know. Also, whenever you're doing roadblocks, there's a lot of times you'll see racers wearing their backpacks when they're doing the roadblock, and that's the time when you're supposed to give your backpack to your partner, so lighten the load on your back. But people just forget those things because you're in the moment, and your mind's going 100 miles an hour, so you just want to do what's the task at hand, and you're not even thinking about stuff like that at the time.
You know, I have to say, if I was ever in a populated area and I saw somebody drop their backpack and just start running, I'm pretty sure I would poop my pants. I'd be like, oh no, this is very bad. You would think that would cause a big commotion when people are doing that.
Yeah.
I don't
These
know.
days, well, not with camera people around.
I guess not. Jess, do you have any thoughts on the backpack drop move?
Well, I've seen a few different people. I think last summer in Amazing Race Canada, somebody got in trouble for dropping their backpack too early, and she had to go back and get it.
Yeah. Why does the race allow you to drop your backpack? Shouldn't you have to check in with your backpack?
It's just one of those rules. We were told before the race starts, if you see Phil, you can drop your backpack. So everybody knows that beforehand. And I actually got in trouble last season because whenever we're in Norway, like we knew it was going to be a to be continued leg because Brandon and Adam already won the leg, and we saw them driving back. And so we're seeing them like out of their car waving their hands, like going, yeah. So we knew that was going to be a to be continued leg. So whenever we got to the destination, to the biking lodge, we actually left our backpacks in the trunk because we were driving our cars, and I knew no one's going to take my bag out of my car. So I ran up to check in, and I got an earful. They're like, you're not supposed to come up here without your backpack. I'm like, well, my backpack's in the car. It's like, you're supposed to take it with you. I'm like, well, no one's going to steal my backpack. And they're like, no, next time you do that, you're going to get a penalty. So make sure you see Phil before you leave your backpack. Unless you leave your backpack and it's gone for good. That's the only way you can leave your backpack down, I guess.
Jess, I think if you don't bring your you can drop your backpack, but if you don't take it to the mat, you lose it, and you can't have it. You have to check in with the backpack if you want it on the next leg of the race. What do you think of that rule?
I think there's got to be a reason they put that rule in place, but I do like the idea of like if you just start shedding stuff, you don't get to have any of your stuff back. That would be entertaining at least.
Yeah,
and I know you're all about the entertainment.
That's it, and then no going back. All right, let's take some more questions. This is from Mark C, who wants to know, Brandon, where you and Adam get all your energy? We never see teams get that excited about a super leg.
Adam and I have just been hyper for our entire lives, and I don't know. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons they liked us to be on the show is just because everything we do, we're excited, and I mean, that's probably why we're friends. We're two of the only people that can stand each other because we have so much energy. But I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. We're just hyper people.
Who do you think has the most energy on this season?
I would have to go with the Afghanimals. Every time I'm racing, it's so funny. Like the Gladiator task with Leo, like that task was a dud for me until I saw Leo going at it. And that was just the hysterical thing right there. He was like, what was it? I saw the last 4 seasons of Spartacus, yeah. And whenever he said that, he was looking at the crowd, and that Gladiator was going after him before he even looked back at him. I thought that was funny.
What's your take on Brendan and Rachel? They win this leg of the race. They can be somewhat of a polarizing team. Are you guys Brendan and Rachel fans?
I can't comment on that. I can't stand her. She irritates the hell out of me. I don't know. I've never met her, but I can't stand watching her. I actually download it and then I just fast forward whenever she's on TV. I can't stand it.
Tim, what about you?
I like Brendan and Rachel. I think they're good TV. I like whenever they're at the Chariots. Was it David and Connor? They're doing their 5th lap and like they purposely hit their chariot. And she said it's a game. So.
Yeah, but Tim, you like everybody.
I do like everybody.
You're like the nicest person I've ever met in my life. Like,
Tim, who don't you like?
Fair.
Give us an Amazing Race team you don't like, or your least favorite.
Right. My least favorite probably would be Caroline and Jen. I don't know why. They just seem a little dull to me right now. They're just, I don't know. They're doing pretty good right now, but they're probably the least favorite team. I got it.
Did you guys notice that on CBS.com there was a live video chat with Jen and Caroline, which I felt like was very odd to have that during the season while the race is going on. Jess, is there a history of this before?
Usually they have people live tweeting it, but I don't know that the chat is something that they tend to play up. So it might have happened before, but I certainly haven't seen it.
I'm pretty sure it was a video.
Rob, you got a video podcast. Get in the future.
I know, but
now.
No,
usually,
I thought it
hey,
was,
you're not supposed to talk during the season.
Well,
yeah, well, I guess it was under
Now.
CBS.
Yeah. So I don't know. So I made So there's a live video chat with Jen and Caroline. Watch the replay now on CBS.com. So Jen and Caroline, maybe I don't know. That's what the data is telling them. We need Jen and Caroline video interviews. If you're going to do a video interview with anybody from this season, I guess that's the way to go, right?
Exactly. I don't know why they did that. I'm not sure. It was CBS, but I knew I saw them do a lot of things that day in LA. I don't know. They're doing a lot of promotions, but I have no idea why CBS would ask them to come in and do that when they haven't done that before, really. So
It's interesting. Okay, let's take another question. This is from Alex G, who wants to know, wait, how does the Express Pass U-turn work? If the Cowboys get U-turned, can they play it on the second side of the detour only, or will they pull a Tim and Marie and just pull the Express Pass at the first detail? Okay. All right, let's start this one with Tim. Do you have any thoughts on this of how to play the Express Pass on the double U-turn?
well, I'm not sure when they're going to have to use the Express Pass because in our race, you got to use it by the 8th leg, and this is the 8th leg. So if that's the case, I would go ahead and burn it and get past that double U-turn. But if they say that you can hold the Express Pass to a later date, I would probably just burn it if I got U-turn.
Okay, so you would use it not to get to the front of the pack to get ahead of everybody that could U-turn you, but just save it in case somebody U-turned you.
Yeah, exactly. Because all the teams might be competitive enough and be like, oh, the Cowboys have the Express Pass, let's go ahead and U-turn them, so they have to burn it. But right now, I'm not seeing a lot of teams that would do that. If there was some teams, I would say Leo and Jamal might, and Brandon and Rachel. But other than that, I don't see Dave and Connor, Caroline or Jen, or Flight Time and Big Easy doing that on them. So it's the odds number, I guess you would say.
Brandon, do you agree with that? Is that the right way to go?
no, I'd jump right to the double U-turn thing. I mean, why wouldn't you? It really depends on if you need to use it by that leg. Because, I mean, if you're ahead, you can see where everybody is sometimes, and if you know that you're ahead, wait and see if you got U-turned, and if you did, use it then. Or jump to, I mean, you could do it either way. It's really, like Tim said, it would really depend on if they have to use it.
Jess, what do you think is the right call? What would you do?
I feel like Travis and Nicole played it the best with their Express Pass. It was like, here's the U-turn. We're there before everybody else. Let's stay out in front,
And then would you U-turn somebody also when you get there first, or you just leave that for the team at the back of the pack?
I don't think you necessarily, if you don't need to. Like, the U-turn is one of those things where you want to use it on someone that you're not going to see again. If you're going to use it, you want to make sure it doesn't come back on you.
Yeah, it's like a hit where it's like if you use it on somebody, you want to make sure they go home. You don't want to botch that, and it's like, oh, it's you. Oh, Brandon, is that the right call?
Yeah, it's an awkward plane ride otherwise.
Yeah.
Whenever we U-turned the Afghanimals, we actually rode in the train to Austria together, and we actually bunked together in the same cabin. Me, Leo, Jamal, and Ashley, I think it was. Right after I got done U-turn, that was the most awkward train ride that I've ever been on.
But I feel like you kind of got a pass on that because everyone was mad at them for U-turning us.
Yeah, they were pretty pissed off about that. And whenever we're at the U-turn, we didn't think about this, Travis and Nicole, and us whenever we did it. But we thought about it right after it happened, but it was too late. We U-turned the Afghanimals, and we talked to Travis and Nicole, and they should have U-turned Jason and Amy. They knew Jason and Amy already passed the U-turn board, and so that would burn up the second slot, which would put the Afghanimals doing both detours, the only team, which probably would have sent them home.
A lot of that was, we don't have to get in that, but yeah, a lot of that was because we didn't want to join in anybody's alliance. Like, they offered to do stuff like that to us, and we said no. We just, because, if you're going to U-turn somebody, I have no problem because it's part of the game, but to do it just regardless of where the people are behind you, or just because they're a certain team. I didn't like that idea, and so that's why we denied that and subsequently got sent home, but that's all right.
And before that leg, we were talking, and everybody's like, yeah, we'll U-turn the Afghanimals, we'll U-turn the Afghanimals, except Brandon and Adam, they're like the only team that wouldn't say that. And so, like, whenever we got to the U-turn board, we're surprised that they weren't U-turned, so we just went ahead and did it. But also, we didn't know there was any other teams behind us, because when we got to the dancing, we were there like 45 minutes before any other team, but we couldn't dance to save our lives. And then we finally got done, and the only other team we saw was Leo and Jamal when we were leaving, and all the other teams we assumed did the other detour, and that's the only reason we U-turned the Afghanimals.
Okay, let's go to another question from Nick. He wants to know, do teams have to book seats adjacent to each other for the flights? When you have to book all these tickets between yourselves and then production, do they need to be next to each other?
Nope, they can be anywhere on the plane.
Yep.
They just can't be. They just have to be an economy seat. You can't. If you can get them to sell you a first class for economy price, you can get that, but it has to be an economy seat.
All right, a couple questions about that. One, do you want to sit next to your partner, or is it like, I've seen enough of this person, you're okay with not sitting next to them on a long flight?
It depends on what you're doing. I mean, if you need to get together and talk to, the people that are sitting in the plane with you to, like, find out about where you're going. But most of the time, you're just trying to sleep, so it doesn't really matter. You just want everybody to be as close to the front as possible.
Okay. What if you get one first class seat for economy price? Now, does anybody from production ever say, "All right, shotgun on the first class seat. You guys are in coach. I'm the producer here."
That's the rule. You have to give it to production.
Yeah.
I mean, is there any conversation about that, or it's like, actually, I'm really tired, I could really use it, or they just trump you guys?
They just trump us.
Yeah.
There's no conversation. It's like, oh yeah, you got a first class seat. I'll take that. They make
Thank you very much.
between themselves.
And then last question about this: what if you get three? Okay, so the two people from production, they've already called two. Okay. And now it's between you and your partner. And I'm sure if you have a male-female team and you want to be chivalrous, sure, you could let the female go to the first-class seat. But if it's two guys or two women, how do you make that decision of who gets the first-class seat?
For Adam and I, we would just whoever was more tired, because you'd probably be able to sleep better. But
could you say to Adam, it's like, dude, you don't even have electricity at your house. You won't. Like, coach is like an upgrade for you. Coach is like first class to you.
He hasn't lived out in the woods that long, so he doesn't get that kind of pass. He still has all his teeth.
Yeah.
So he's not a real woodsman yet.
Tim, how would you and Danny settle that?
We'll play paper, scissors, rock. That's always what we go to whenever there's a decision to be made.
Yeah, that's high stakes.
You should arm wrestle.
Arm wrestle.
Okay, Lori wants to know, there doesn't seem to be a clear, unlikable pair left in the pack now. Even Brenchel is being nice. Who do you see as the possible villains as the U-term comes into play next week?
Well, it'll be Brendan and Rachel, I'm sure, because Dave and Connor were all upset with them, for not telling them where the thing was. I mean, that's the only people that seemed slightly upset at someone.
Now, the whole thing with Dave and Connor and Brendan and Rachel, did you guys have any issue with what Rachel did where Dave and Connor said, "Hey, where's the clue box?" And Rachel's like, "Oh, it's like somewhere, it's like that way." Did you guys feel like Rachel needs to tell them where the clue box is, or is that all well and good on Amazing Race?
I think it's all well and good on the Amazing Race. I don't know. I'm a nice guy. I probably would have said where it was. But whatever can help you in the long run to get the few extra seconds, heck, I'm surprised if you didn't point the other way, to be honest. But yeah.
I think it all depends on where you think you are in the pack for us. We told people things, and then other people we just wouldn't answer just because. I don't know. It just really depends on how far ahead you think you are, and if you care about trying to make those people, help you in the future.
Yeah, I feel like these racers have gone a little soft this season, where I feel like it's like everybody is like, oh, hey, what's the answer? Let me write down your thing. Where's the clue box? Okay, thank you. Tell me this thing. Okay, where'd you go? Where'd you get this? Okay. And everybody is just helping everybody else out. And it's like, I feel like at the end of the day, this is a race for $1 million, and now we're getting down to the nitty gritty, and Dave's not he can't get his shorts in a bunch over stuff like this.
I feel like maybe it's because they've been on multiple times. Like now they're just like not as worried. I mean, everyone wants the $1 million. They're not as worried about that. They just want to keep racing. So I mean, everyone's just gonna be more friendly just because they're so excited they just got to do this awesome thing again.
Jess, do you feel like that these returning players are all too chummy at this point?
Yeah, I think they're going to get less chummy as the stakes get higher, but I think early on they're just kind of hanging out. It's like gravy because they all got to do it once. They get to do it again. It's kind of
3 times.
Yeah, it's a bonus. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go to JJ Rules, who wants to know, with these close finishes this season, do you think there will be a sprint to the finish just like there was in Season 2 or Season 6? Of course, then you drop your backpack, too. Do you think that it will continue to be this close all the way to the end?
It all just depends on the difficulty of the challenge, you know. If the challenge is easy, everybody's going to get done right about the same time. If it's more difficult and there's a lot of stuff to do, one person's going to prevail over the other pretty early, and they're probably going to have a pretty good lead on them.
But is the reason that we're having so many close finishes because we've seen so many equalizers during each leg of the race? Do you think, is that happening more where we have like a mid-leg equalizer as well?
Yeah, I think we've seen a lot more of it, and I think part of it is just that the legs are shorter. I think they might have envisioned that some of those equalization points weren't going to be quite as egregious, but with the legs being so much shorter than they usually are, there's just not as much time for people to spread out.
Okay. Let's go.
And with people being friendly. I mean, if everybody's sharing everything and they're shorter, I mean, it's inevitable.
There would be no foot race this episode if Leo didn't tell the Globetrotters and John and Jessica. I think John and Jessica would have won this leg if Jessica didn't ask Leo for the answer.
Oh. It's too chummy. I like to see my Amazing Racers fight with each other.
Yeah.
Angry. Need more drama. Okay, Mike Bloom wants to know, do you feel like iPhones have changed the landscape of the race and the difficulty of the clues? We saw multiple times last night that racers and cabbies were using mobile devices to look up information for clues on the go. Now, the Amazing Race has a long and storied history, and in Amazing Race, in the early years of the Amazing Race, if you had a clue that was like, go to the Eternal City or whatever, or go to where unhappy Roman holiday, you couldn't just take out your phone and Google it. You actually had to figure stuff out. Do you think that the Amazing Race is better or worse that we live in an era that everybody has a computer that's walking around, except for Adam?
It's better for when you're doing it, for sure. But watching it, yeah, it's not. I'd rather watch them wander around aimlessly and try and figure it out. But I don't know, it's the way everyone has one. Like you said, it's just the way people live now.
Jessica, could Watson, the Jeopardy computer, write clues that people wouldn't be able to come up with answers on their iPhone?
I think if anybody's got a shot at doing that, it's Watson.
Yeah, maybe they need picture clues, like you just show a picture of something.
Yeah, I spent a lot of years writing bar trivia, and that was what I did. I tried to find things, like we told people they couldn't use their phones, but I always tried to come up with things that people couldn't easily Google.
Give me an example of a question that you can't easily Google.
Like we frequently had we had music rounds, and you'd play like a snippet of a song, people would have to identify it, and we had picture rounds, and now there's reverse Google image search, of course, but it's still kind of clunky, so.
Okay. And what do you do when you're on the race? You just go up to some stranger and be like, "Hey, I'm on a TV show. Can I have your phone?"
Yeah, pretty much. You ask every single person that's around you that you start getting choosy because every person you ask has to sign a waiver to be on TV. So like that slows you way down. But yeah, I mean, you just whoever you think might be able to help you, you ask.
Can you ask them to see their phone before you make them sign the waiver?
Um, if they help you at all, like your guy has to at least try to get the waiver. So he'll try. I mean, regardless of if they have to sign it or not, they'll try, and just going to spend the same amount of time.
Because you're taking a risk there that you could ask them to use their phone and they could pull out like an old like V60 flip phone. And then you're screwed. They have to hook up to their car battery. Yeah.
If the Amazing Race ends up out in Adams Wood, that would be awesome.
Yeah. All right. This is from McGurk USC. Wants to know, does it seem to you guys so far that every elimination has been entirely predictable? Hasn't been a surprise elimination yet of a strong team? Jessica and I talked about this last night, that I felt like once they start showing us the clip from Amazing Race 22 of John and Jessica getting eliminated with the Express Pass, I did not feel good about John and Jessica. Have the edits been too predictable this season? Tim, what do you think?
Absolutely. That's the first thing I saw was John and Jessica saying that, and I was thinking they're gone. And then also it didn't help whenever you see everybody doing their interviews and everybody's in the daylight and they're at dark time, nighttime, you know. So it just gives it away automatically right there.
Oh, that is a veteran move that I never even thought of that. So if everybody else is doing their interviews in the daytime and one person's at nighttime, that person's probably going home?
Not always. It's just you just assume that it's going to take a long time for them to finish. So it just figures that they're the last ones. I don't know.
Yeah, but they didn't finish that much longer than everybody else. Is it they just like do the interview like at a different they just do their interviews with them right there, and then everybody else they do them the next day while they're on the pit stop?
They do them all that same day. It just depends who they grab, when, and where. I guess it just all depends.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at our season, when we got eliminated, all of our interviews, you know, because it was a double leg, you don't do your interviews until after the second one, which was the one when we got eliminated. So the one we won, all of our interviews are in the dark, and you know, I guess they could have. If you had known about that, I mean, you could have guessed that we were going to be eliminated next, you know, because we were the only one interviewing in the dark.
Oh, well, that's a pro tip right there. I'm going to be watching that. If one team has their interviews in the light or the dark, and everybody else has the opposite, I'm going to be, that person's going home. Although this season it really hasn't. You haven't needed that. Once they give you the flashback, you know that's no good. Okay, Spicy Wasabi wants to know, would Brandon have shaved his beard in the Geisha Girl makeup detour? Okay, so somebody would have had to shave, right? When I remember, did Travis shave in that detour?
Well, I think we both would have had to shave. In that,
oh my God!
But we wouldn't have picked that just for that reason. I mean, we have no problem shaving. If that was just the task, I would do it in a second. But like having to go through all the shaving and then having to do everything, like it would just take us so much longer. That's the only reason I wouldn't have done it.
Who is the reality TV person with the longest beard? Is there any sort of stats on this?
I don't know.
I saw Matt Bischoff from Survivor over the weekend, and he's up there. Kenny from Big Brother Canada's got to be up there.
Yeah, Adam's beard now is far surpassed mine. He's a facial hair growing machine. I don't know. I don't know if anybody could take him. Then if like you gave him a year, I think he would dominate all competition.
Jess, any interest in an RHAP beard off among reality TV people?
I don't think they even need. I think they should shoot higher than RHAP. I'm smelling like summertime network reality show, Battle of the Beards.
Should we have maybe get the Kickstarter started for Reality Beard Masters?
Absolutely. That idea is a winner.
All right, we'll get the Kickstarter going. I'll text Alex Forstenhausler, Reality Beard Masters. Okay. Dominic Peel wants to know, will next week's double U-turn be the only U-turn on this season's race, or will there be another U-turn in the episodes that follow? Usually there's two, but we haven't seen one yet. Do you think that we'll have just one or two along the way?
Tim.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. So you say that one more time?
Will we have 2 U-turns this season, or do you think that that it's so late in the season we only have time for 1?
I think there'll be 2 U-turns. We'll have this one on the 8th leg, and then there's not very many legs left, but I think they've done this before a few seasons back. I'm not 100% sure, but I think they had 2 late ones, like on the 8th leg and then maybe the 10th leg. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm not going to not have 2 U-turns.
Jess, is that a possibility? In 1 now and 1 2 weeks from now?
Yeah, I mean, they love to do one right around the final 5 or final 4.
Interesting. This could be huge.
It might be a single U-turn. It might not be. They might not both be double.
Okay. Is the second one always the blind U-turn?
No, not always.
Okay.
We didn't have a blind U-turn on ours.
Okay. All right, let's go to another question. This is from Mike Bloom, who wants to know, who would you rather race with, Rachel or Marie for a second time? All right, I guess this wouldn't be like a Mark and Mallory situation. This would be a situation where you were in another race, but I guess Rachel is there with Tim, or Brendan is there with Rachel. Who would you pick? You get to pick who gets to come into the race. Brandon, we'll start with you.
Well, do I want to win?
Sure.
Okay, then I would definitely pick Tim and Rachel, because I think Marie and Brendan would dominate. I mean, I love Tim, and I think Tim would kick butt, but I just don't think she's any good. So.
Now hold on. You said I think you said Tim and Rachel.
Yeah, I thought that's what you were saying.
No, you get.
No, we're saying if Adam can't make it, if he's still out in the woods, they can't reach him.
And I gotta pick one.
You gotta pick one.
I'm gonna pick Marie, because Marie can't be stopped. She's insane. She's an insane person. I think she's great, but she's crazy. Like, you can't stop her.
Okay, Tim, what about you?
Yeah, I would pick Marie. Like, if I'm too tired to do a task, she'll just do it by herself, no problem. I have no doubts about that.
But what if Rachel is much nicer to her partner than Marie is?
That's true. I haven't thought about that. No, but I'll stick with Marie. She's one tough cookie, and that's what you want in a competitor right there.
Yeah,
you just have to.
She's used to yelling, "You're an idiot, Tim," and so that she won't miss a beat.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Let's go to, this is from our favorite commenter, Super Survivor Suck Up in the Car 02734 wants to know,
Nice.
even though the Globetrotters, Afghanimals, and Jessica and John promised each other they wouldn't U-turn each other, do you think that they would keep their word even though they thought the country singers were in the back of them? Okay? Do you think that they would have held their promise to not double U-turn the Afghanimals?
Which team?
Any of those teams that made that promise. Do you think that would have held up?
Definitely the Globetrotters, just because I think that he was so just fed up with running up and down those stairs that I think he would do anything to have got that clue finished. So I think he would respect it.
And what do you think, Tim?
I think they would U-turn anybody if they had to. If they're in jeopardy of going out, they're going to U-turn the Afghanimals. No question about it.
Yeah, I kind of think that too, because I kind of feel like these reality TV deals that get made, whether it's on Survivor, whether it's on Big Brother, just save me with the veto this week, and I promise you're safe, or I'll give up in this challenge if you take me to the end. I kind of feel like those deals are not really worth the paper that they would hypothetically be written on. And I feel like if they were in a situation, I bet that they would break those deals.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah, you just say whatever you can to get you to the next day.
I think so. All right, let's take a few more questions here on our Amazing Race podcast with Brandon and Tim from Amazing Race 23. Mike wants to know, Tim and Brandon, are you disappointed with the lack of double legs which you encountered on your season? In general, how do you think the difficulty of your season ranks up to the current one? All right, first, tell us if you missing a double leg and the difficulty factor of 23 versus 24.
Well,
Go ahead. Our double leg, I was upset because I was already up for 24 hours. We could have slept on this boat ride to Norway, but I was in the Arctic and I saw all these pretty mountains and I want to take it all in. And then when we got to the mat, and he's like, keep on racing, I was pissed. But luckily, we got to sleep because we have to wait for the other ship to get to Norway so we can leave. So we had actually 8 hours of downtime waiting for this boat so we can go into the next leg. But competitiveness, I think I would have to say this season's more competitive. They are closer together in the packs. You don't see anyone coming in hours behind or days. I guess who is it? Matt or Margie and Luke. They finished the day behind. But other than that, it's going down to the wire in most legs, either for first place or last place, and that's what the race likes, and that's what people like to see.
All right, Brandon, what do you think of that? The competitiveness of 23 versus 24.
I think ours was way well as a whole. Maybe theirs just because there's more people that they're the all-star people. The people they picked were all pretty competitive groups, but I think the competitive people we have were way more competitive than the ones they have now. Like I said, some of them just seem like they're just kind of they're all running, having a good time, but I just feel like ours was a little more ruthless. But it's hard to say too. When you watch it, it's a lot faster, and you don't see all the extreme time lengths in between. But they had so many in the same places, I can't imagine there's nearly as much fatigue as we had because we had to travel a lot more than they did.
Yeah, this season it's crazy. Like every 2 episodes is one country. Like they're in Sri Lanka twice, Malaysia twice, and now they're going to be in Rome twice. Is that right?
They're going to be in Italy twice. I think they're going to somewhere else in Italy.
Italy, yeah.
Now, Jess, typically, are the Amazing Race All-Star seasons harder than the regular season? Like, do they up the degree of difficulty, or it just happens to be a regular season with All-Stars on it?
It sure seemed like 11 was much harder than the previous seasons, and I think to some extent 18 as well. And this one is just it looks like child's play compared to both of those seasons.
Yeah, and this seems like a regular season. It doesn't seem any harder than anything.
It seems easier than a regular season.
Maybe because the All-Stars are so good, they make it look easy. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, let's do one last question. This is from Doma Fox wants to know, Amazing Race has had a previous race task come back at some point towards the halfway to the end. What task from your season would you like to see get revisited, if any? Okay? Are there any tasks that you guys did that you want to see come back this season? Tim, what about singing in Germany?
I would like to see it come back to see if people suffer at it, but
actually was it Germany or Vienna?
That was in Vienna.
Vienna, my bad.
But you had to sing in German, and I can't even sing in English, so German's not very good at all. No, but yeah.
I don't like seeing the same tasks again. I just want to see new ones all the time. I don't know. I don't like it when people know exactly what to do. I think that's part of the fun of watching it is that they're completely confused on what to do, or they have to figure it out. So.
Just what challenge from Amazing Race 23 do you want to see come back? How about the one where they ate the donuts all throughout the hotel?
Yeah, I was definitely going to say either donuts or the one where they had to dress up in the costumes and dance.
Either one.
Either one of those.
Okay.
I hate Poland.
All right, so let me give out some. If you want to follow these guys on Twitter, Jessica Frey has given us Tim's Twitter, which is Tim Weininger, which is spelled on the screen if you are watching it, or if you're listening in the audio. That's Tim Wiyninger. And Brandon, are you on Twitter?
Nope.
Okay.
I just recently got a phone that can get on the internet.
Okay, well, you're still ahead of Adam, no matter what.
Yeah, it's not hard.
Yeah. Okay, well, no matter what, you're still ahead of the game. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on with us tonight.
Thank you so much for having us. It was fun.
Okay. And the next time you guys are going to be hearing Amazing Race with us is going to be Sunday night after a double U-turn night on the Amazing Race. It's bound to be craziness. So for the first word in Amazing Race recaps, check out what Jess and I have to say this Sunday night.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
I just wanted to point out my favorite part in that last episode was when Jamal said, he's like, it's got to be Rome. That's where history started.
Yeah.
What? What do you mean that's where history started? So I just thought that was awesome.
That's where it all started.
Where history started.
Yeah. That's where they were writing books and everything. So Leo and Jamal, they're walking sound bites.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, and then we will be back with lots of craziness happening on Big Brother Canada. Join us on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific to cover all of that. And then on Wednesday, of course, we start everything with Survivor. Steven will be back for Survivor Know-It-Alls this week. And Sophie Clark joins us on the Big Interview podcast this Thursday. So it's going to be a fun week on Rob Has a Website and Rob Has a Podcast. So make sure you subscribe, robhasawebsite.com/iTunes, or for the video feed, robhasawebsite.com/YouTube. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Bye. Not, right?
No, it doesn't rank in the top 5, I wouldn't think. But it's just kind of, I was watching that happen, I'm just like, oh, that's classic Globetrotters.
You know, something that came up in my exit interview with John and Jessica today, I had asked them about when Big Easy was running to the mat, he dropped his bag. And I wanted to know if he had to go back and get it. And they said that as soon as you see Phil, you're allowed to drop your bag and race to the mat. And I'm curious, why don't more teams do this? As soon as they see Phil, just drop the bag and then book it for the mat when we get to some of these situations where it's a foot race.
Yeah, I mean, that is the rule. The rule is as soon as you see him, you can drop it. You can't leave it in your taxi, and go back and get it after you check in, but that's their rule, and I don't know why anyone would continue to hold it when they're in a foot race, but I mean, you're just, you're so tired and sleep deprived and not eating right, you're not thinking straight at that point. You had to bring your backpack everywhere. You're constantly going, oh, did I leave my backpack, because you don't want to leave it in a taxi or something, so, I mean, you're not thinking, hey, I should drop this, you're just trying to get to Phil.
Tim, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, when it's a foot race, you would think to drop your bag, but maybe it's a populated area, and maybe they're afraid that someone's going to steal their backpack. Maybe like Mark, he had to go back. He thought maybe someone was going to steal it. I don't know. Also, whenever you're doing roadblocks, there's a lot of times you'll see racers wearing their backpacks when they're doing the roadblock, and that's the time when you're supposed to give your backpack to your partner so lighten the load on your back. But people just forget those things because you're in the moment. And your mind's going 100 miles an hour, so you just want to do what's the task at hand, and you're not even thinking about stuff like that at the time.
I have to say, if I was ever in a populated area and I saw somebody drop their backpack and just start running, I'm pretty sure I would poop my pants. I'd be like, oh no, this is very bad. You would think that would cause a big commotion when people are doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
These days, well, not with camera people around.
I guess not. Jess, do you have any thoughts on the backpack drop move?
Well, I've seen a few different people. I think last summer in Amazing Race Canada, somebody got in trouble for dropping their backpack too early, and she had to go back and get it.
Yeah. Why does the race allow you to drop your backpack? Shouldn't you have to check in with your backpack?
It's just one of those rules. We were told before the race starts, if you see Phil, you can drop your backpack. So everybody knows that beforehand. And I actually got in trouble last season because whenever we're in Norway, we knew it was going to be a to be continued leg because Brandon and Adam already won the leg, and we saw them driving back. And so we're seeing them out of their car waving their hands, going, yeah. So we knew that was going to be a to be continued leg. So whenever we got to the destination, to the Viking Lodge, we actually left our backpacks in the trunk because we were driving our cars, and I knew no one's going to take my bag out of my car. So I ran up to check in, and I got an earful. They're like, you're not supposed to come up here without your backpack. I'm like, well, my backpack's in the car. It's like, you're supposed to take it with you. I'm like, well, no one's going to steal my backpack. And they're like, no, next time you do that, you're going to get a penalty. So make sure you see Phil before you leave your backpack. Unless you leave your backpack and it's gone for good. That's the only way you can leave your backpack down, I guess.
Jess, I think if you don't bring your you can drop your backpack, but if you don't take it to the mat, you lose it, and you can't have it. You have to check in with the backpack if you want it on the next leg of the race. What do you think of that rule?
I think there's got to be a reason they put that rule in place, but I do like the idea of like if you just start shedding stuff, you don't get to have any of your stuff back. That would be entertaining at least.
Yeah,
and I know you're all about the entertainment.
That's it, and then no going back. All right, let's take some more questions. This is from Mark C, who wants to know, Brandon, where you and Adam get all your energy? We never see teams get that excited about a super leg.
Adam and I have just been hyper for our entire lives, and I don't know. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons they liked us to be on the show is just because everything we do, we're excited, and I mean, that's probably why we're friends. We're two of the only people that can stand each other because we have so much energy. But I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. We're just hyper people.
Who do you think has the most energy on this season?
I would have to go with the Afghanimals. Every time I'm racing, it's so funny. Like the Gladiator task with Leo, like that task wasn't dug for me until I saw Leo going at it. And that was just the hysterical thing right there. He was like, what was it? I saw the last 4 seasons of Spartacus. Or whatever. Spartacus, yeah. And whenever he said that, he was looking at the crowd, and that Gladiator was going after him before he even looked back at him. I thought that was funny.
What's your take on Brendan and Rachel? They win this leg of the race. They can be somewhat of a polarizing team. Are you guys Brendan and Rachel fans?
I can't comment on that. I can't stand her. She irritates the hell out of me. I don't know. I've never met her, but I can't stand watching her. I actually download it and then I just fast forward whenever she's on TV. I can't stand it.
Tim, what about you?
I like Brendan and Rachel. I think they're good TV. I like whenever they're at the chariots. Was it Dave and Connor? They're doing their 5th lap and like they purposely hit their chariot, and she said it's a game. So.
Yeah, but Tim, you like everybody.
I do like everybody.
You're like the nicest person I've ever met in my life. Like,
Tim, who don't you like?
Fair.
Give us an Amazing Race team you don't like, or your least favorite.
My least favorite probably would be Caroline and Jen. I don't know why. They just seem a little dull to me right now. They're just, I don't know. They're doing pretty good right now, but they're probably the least favorite team. I got it.
Did you guys know? Coming to you live from my apartment, it's Rob Has a Podcast, and now here's the guy who starts all of his live shows X minutes late, Roman numerals joke, Rob Sesternino. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our live Amazing Race recap here on a Monday night, and we have a very fun show talking about episode number 7 of Amazing Race All-Stars, and here with me tonight is my co-host for all things Amazing Race, my partner for the Amazing Race, Jessica Leese. Jessica, how are you?
I'm great, Rob. How are you doing?
Doing very good here on a very busy Monday here on robhasawebsite.com because we have just like the Amazing Race said, hey, we're going to take Mark and we're going to take Mallory and we're going to put them together and we're going to make a new team, and here is a new team. So what we have here tonight is that we've taken 2 teams from Amazing Race 23 whose partners couldn't be with them, and we've made a new team. First, let me introduce you to the person that you can see here tonight. Here is from the team of Brandon and Adam. Here is Brandon. Brandon, how are you?
I'm excellent. This is the first time I've ever been on a Google Hangout.
Yes, well, welcome to the world of Google Hangout. And now here is somebody that we couldn't quite get his bandwidth right, so we said let's prioritize the audio over the video since most people are going to be listening to this on the audio anyway. Here is from Tim and Danny. Here is Tim.
Hey guys, how are y'all doing today?
Okay.
I'm sorry, but like my Google Hangout sucks, and this is just as hard as it is going to LAX. I just can't do it.
Well, we can hear you great, and that's the important thing. So you could be naked for all we know, or dressed up like a gladiator, and it'll be the theater of the imagination right now.
Yeah, well, we have the audio. That's the important thing, so you can sing for us.
Oh, fantastic.
Tim, you should get naked and then last second, like, try and get the video in.
You might make that happen. We'll see.
Okay. Great. All right. So this show on Monday night, what we like to do is get a lot of questions in from you guys because on Sunday, Jessica and I already told you our thoughts about the episode. So we want to hear from you guys. We want to know your questions. So we've got the chat room going on robhasawebsite.com. Plus, we've got Twitter open. You can use the hashtag RHAP. Jessica Frey is looking at all your tweets. And you can also post your questions on our YouTube channel at robhasawebsite.com/YouTube. Okay, so first off, I know that people are going to have a lot of questions on where your respective partners are. All right, so Brandon, why don't you start with Adam? Give us the update on what he's up to.
Adam's out in the middle of the woods. That's where he lives. He has no internet. He has to touch his phone to antenna to a car battery in order to make a phone call. So he's building his house, and yeah, I don't think this would ever be possible for him.
Oh no! Oh no! How does he live? No Google
Well,
Hangout.
Yeah, he just doesn't get on the internet.
Okay.
So,
What kind of life is that? There you go. Do you guys just flip a light on over there?
yeah, we found one.
Okay.
My wife was concerned that my face was too dark.
Okay. Did she attach a light to a car battery?
No, well, I don't live in the woods.
Okay.
I have the internet. I'm building my own house, but it's in a city.
All right. Well, that's good to know. All right. And Tim, what is the update on Danny? What's he up to?
Danny's working right now. He's in nowhere, Texas, on an oil rig right now working. So.
Okay. So he can't be with us either then, because I guess you can't get on Google Hangouts either if you live in a house or live in some sort of a commune, or if you're on an oil rig. So those are the two main limitations for Google Hangout, right, Jess?
Apparently.
Apparently. All right, good. All right, so let's get into talking about some things with the episode. Of course, we're reaching the point of no return. We've got U-turns coming up and all sorts of great stuff in these last couple of weeks of Amazing Race. So let me hear first from you guys your thoughts on your former racing buddies, the Afghanimals, and whether you guys have been impressed with how they've been racing here on the All-Stars. Let's start with Brandon.
I love the Afghanimals. I get a lot of emails and asked all the time about if I hate them because they U-turned us, and we said immediately that we would have U-turned anybody else. So I love the Afghanimals. I think they're doing great. They're amazing competitors. They love that game. They know everything about that game. I'm not surprised they're doing awesome.
All right, and Tim, what about you? What's your take on the Afghanimals 2.0?
Yeah, the Afghanimals, they're doing awesome, man. I think they're doing a lot better this season than they did last season. They're at the top of the pack, or middle of the pack most of the way. I think they're going to be probably one of the top three, or the final three teams going into the finale, so I'm pulling them pretty good right now.
What do you think they're doing differently this time around than in your season?
I think they're like our season, we thought they were sneaky, right? So everybody was against the Afghanimals the whole time. But to us, it was everybody's first time racing, so we're all trying to get to know each other rather than racing. But those guys, they were in it to win it at the very beginning. So I think that's where it came off. They're a little sneaky because they're just doing their own thing, and everybody just want to say, hey, my name's Tim, how are you, kind of thing. So we thought they were sneaky, and then All-Stars, I think they're more, they're not being as sneaky. They're actually helping the other teams, like you saw them help Big Easy and John and Jessica at the roadblock. If that was our season, I don't think they would have done that unless it was the Ice Queens. So.
Now, do you feel like that there's been an overcorrection where they were trying to be too sneaky on the Amazing Race 23, but now they're back on Amazing Race 24, and they really kind of could have screwed themselves last night because I think they believed that Jen and Caroline were still behind them, and they say, okay, everybody, here's the answers to the...
They just can't be, they just have to be an economy seat. You can't. If you can get them to sell you a first class 4 economy price, you can get that, but it has to be an economy seat.
All right, a couple questions about that. One, do you want to sit next to your partner, or is it like, I've seen enough of this person, you're okay with not sitting next to them on a long flight?
It depends on what you're doing. I mean, if you need to get together and talk to, the people that are sitting in the plane with you to, find out about where you're going. But most of the time, you're just trying to sleep, so it doesn't really matter. You just want everybody to be as close to the front as possible.
Okay. What if you get one first class seat for economy price? Now, does anybody from production ever say, "All right, shotgun on the first class seat. You guys are in coach. I'm the producer here."
That's the rule. You have to give it to production.
Yeah.
I mean, is there any conversation about that, or it's like, actually, I'm really tired, I could really use it, or they just trump you guys?
They just trump us.
Yeah.
There's no conversation. It's like, oh yeah, you got a first class seat. I'll take that. They make fun
Thank you very much.
between themselves.
And then last question about this: what if you get 3? Okay, so the 2 people from production, they've already called 2. Okay. And now it's between you and your partner. And I'm sure if you have a male-female team and you want to be chivalrous, sure, you could let the female go to the first class seat. But if it's 2 guys or 2 women, how do you make that decision of who gets the first class seat?
For Adam and I, we would just whoever was more tired, because you'd probably be able to sleep better. But
could you say to Adam, it's like, dude, you don't even have electricity at your house. You won't. Like, coach is like an upgrade for you. Coach is like first class to you.
He hasn't lived out in the woods that long, so he doesn't get that kind of pass. He still has all his teeth.
Yeah.
So he's not a real woodsman yet.
Tim, how would you and Danny settle that?
We'll play paper, scissors, rock. That's always what we go to whenever there's a decision to be made.
Yeah, that's high stakes.
You should arm wrestle.
Arm wrestle.
Okay, Lori wants to know, there doesn't seem to be a clear, unlikable pair left in the pack now. Even Brenchel is being nice. Who do you see as the possible villains as the U-term comes into play next week?
Well, it'll be Brendan and Rachel, I'm sure, because Dave and Connor were all upset with them, for not telling them where the thing was. I mean, that's the only people that seemed slightly upset at someone.
Now, the whole thing with Dave and Connor and Brendan and Rachel, did you guys have any issue with what Rachel did where Dave and Connor said, "Hey, where's the clue box?" And Rachel's like, "Oh, it's like somewhere, it's like that way." Did you guys feel like Rachel needs to tell them where the clue box is, or is that all well and good on Amazing Race?
I think it's all well and good on the Amazing Race. I don't know. I'm a nice guy. I probably would have said where it was. But whatever can help you in the long run to get the few extra seconds, heck, I'm surprised if you didn't point the other way, to be honest. But yeah.
I think it all depends on where you think you are in the pack for us. We told people things, and then other people we just wouldn't answer just because, I don't know, it just really depends on how far ahead you think you are, and if you care about trying to make those people, help you in the future.
Now, I feel like these racers have gone a little soft this season, where I feel like it's like everybody is like, "Oh, hey, what's the answer? Let me write down your thing. Where's the clue box? Okay, thank you. Tell me this thing. Okay, where'd you go? Where'd you get this? Okay." And everybody is just helping everybody else out, and it's like, I feel like at the end of the day, this is a race for $1 million, and now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty, and Dave's he can't get his shorts in a bunch over stuff like this.
I feel like maybe it's because they've been on multiple times. Like, now they're just, like, not as worried. I mean, everyone wants the $1 million. They're not as worried about that. They just want to keep racing. So, I mean, everyone's just going to be more friendly just because they're so excited they just got to do this awesome thing again.
Jess, do you feel like that these returning players are all too chummy at this point?
Yeah, I think they're going to get less chummy as the stakes get higher, but I think early on they're just kind of hanging out. It's like gravy, because they all got to do it once. They get to do it again. It's kind of...
3 times?
Yeah, it's a bonus. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go to JJ Rules, who wants to know, with these close finishes this season, do you think there will be a sprint to the finish just like there was in Season 2 or Season 6? Of course, then you drop your backpack, too. Do you think that it will continue to be this close all the way to the end?
It all just depends on the difficulty of the challenge, If the challenge is easy, everybody's going to get done right about the same time. If it's more difficult and there's a lot of stuff to do, one person's going to prevail over the other pretty early, and they're probably going to have a pretty good lead on them.
But is the reason that we're having so many close finishes because we've seen so many equalizers during each leg of the race? Do you think, is that happening more, where we have like a mid-leg equalizer as well?
Yeah, I think we've seen a lot more of it, and I think part of it is just that the legs are shorter. I think they might have envisioned that some of those equalization points weren't going to be quite as egregious, but with the legs being so much shorter than they usually are, there's just not as much time for people to spread out.
Okay, let's
Well,
go.
and with people being friendly. I mean, if everybody's sharing everything and they're shorter, I mean,
Yeah,
it's inevitable.
there would be no foot race this episode if Leo didn't tell the Globetrotters and John and Jessica. I think John and Jessica would have won this leg if Jessica didn't ask Leo for the answer.
Oh, it's too chummy. I like to see my Amazing Racers fight with each other.
Just angry.
I need more drama. Okay, Mike Bloom wants to know, do you feel quiz and potentially they could have gotten passed by Flight Time and Big Easy or John and Jessica, and they could have actually been eliminated from the race? Have they gone too far with trying to be these nice guys?
Oh, absolutely. I thought that was going to bite them in the butt, actually. And, like, before they told them the information, they're like, you're going to let us win this leg or you're not going to U-turn us next time. So whenever they said that, they thought they weren't going to get help. Or whenever they said that, they thought John and Jessica or Big Easy, Flight Time and Big Easy weren't going to pass them. But in that situation, they'll just say that, and then once they actually get to running to the final map, they're going to pass them if they could.
Yeah, Brandon, were you saying that where was this new leaf that they turned over from the Afghanimals in Amazing Race 23?
Well, I don't think, they were really that. Everyone says they're sneaky and everything. I think to begin with, they were just, in 23, they were just trying to make jokes and mess with people just for fun. And then everybody kept saying how sneaky they were and everything, and I think they just kind of embraced it and just was like, yeah, sure, we'll continue that. But in this one, I think they just finished the other one, got to go on this right after, so they've done it more recently than anybody else. They're just fresh. They just played the game and they're ready to a do-over. How could they not do good?
Okay, let's take some questions from the audience as we go along here. This is from Spicy Wasabi X, wants to know, in a secret scene interview at the mat, Phil said the Afghanimals were running the same race as last season, but were perceived as sneaky, but this season they're perceived as competitive. Why in season 23 was there an anti-Afghanimal sentiment? And was that from production or not from production, but from the other teams in the race or from the people at home?
I think the reason that everyone thought that on our season was that at the beginning they were such big fans and they were ready to just play the game, and I think that everybody else was ready trying to make friends and be friendly, and they just didn't really care about that. They wanted to win, and so that rubbed people the wrong way when you don't know anyone. And I don't know. I always got along. Adam and I both loved those guys and got along with them great. So I don't know.
Tim, what do you think about that?
Yeah, exactly what Brandon said. But they're just out there to win. They're going to go hard. They're very competitive guys. And that's with everybody that's on All Stars. This is their second or third time around racing, and so they all know what the other teams did in the previous race. So everybody's just doing what they did plus doing better. So.
Now, Jessica, I know you weren't the biggest fan of the Afghanimals last season, but I know they've won your hearts in Amazing Race 24. You wrote about them in your blog today, and this stunt they pulled with giving out the answer on that roadblock. I'd love to hear more about your thoughts because we didn't really talk about this a ton last night.
Yeah, I thought it was a huge mistake. I think it was another case of, and we saw them do this a lot last season, they would strategize just for the sake of strategizing. And they're like, we're going to make big moves. It's like the people on Survivor that go and flip on their tribe mates just so they can kind of make a splash. And it felt like they had a bigger picture in mind than what was actually going on there. And I felt like they could have ended up screwing themselves pretty badly.
I don't know. For me, I feel like maybe the difference for Leo and Jamal from Amazing Race 23 to Amazing Race 24 was Amazing Race 23, they were all about the girls. We got to talk to these girls. We got to meet girls everywhere. And all of a sudden in Amazing Race 24, it's like now Jamal got married in between the seasons. Is that correct? Do I have the timeline right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
and now it's like now their head is completely in the game.
Well, I mean, on this last episode, Leo is still trying to hit on some ladies. So, you know, Leo's, he's a ladies' man. And I don't think anything's changed there.
I think that maybe between if the two of them are single, they're like, yeah, let's go look for girls. Let's try to go flirt with these girls. And maybe because Jamal is married now, maybe he's saying like, no, Leo, we have to focus on the race. And I think it's paying dividends.
Jamal was engaged whenever he went on our race, but his wife said, "Go ahead and do what you got to do to win the race." So
yeah,
so he's going on.
I think doing the one right before, I think they're just focused. Like I said, they had wanted to be on the show for so long, and now they got to do it twice in a row. Like they're ready. They're just so pumped. Look at Leo. He started lifting weights. He got all huge. He's way bigger than he was when we raced him.
Yeah, they're Hollywood now, I think.
Well, yeah. Hollywood reality.
Yeah. Nick 2S wants to know, would you rather have the detour be actual chariots and robotic gladiators? Okay, would you have rather seen real chariots and a remote control gladiator?
Yeah, I think that would be a lot more interesting to see than a little remote control car. But.
You wouldn't have wanted to go remote control car racing in Italy? Isn't that everybody's dream?
I think a remote control gladiator is going to be a little expensive to be crashed all the time.
I'll be afraid that gladiator went AWOL and started going after the people instead.
Yeah. We'll hold off on the robot gladiator. I think Skynet is working on that currently as we speak. Okay. Nick
I'm not right there.
Nick wants to know, where does Flight Time's roadblock mistake rank in the history of misread clues? Jess, do you have some thoughts on that? The Flight Time misreading the clue?
Well, the Globetrotters have never been the best at details. They always tend to miss something, but I would figure that, their third time out, they would have had a better handle on it.
Okay, but was it a historic misread of the clue? I would think. I noticed that on CBS.com there was a live video chat with Jen and Caroline, which I felt like was very odd to have that during the season while the race is going on. Jess, is there a history of this before?
Usually they have people live tweeting it, but I don't know that the chat is something that they tend to play up. So it might have happened before, but I certainly haven't seen it.
I'm pretty sure it was a video.
Rob, you got a video podcast. Get in the future.
I know, but
now.
No, usually you're not supposed to talk during the season.
Well,
yeah, I guess it was under CBS.
Yeah, so I don't know. So there's a live video chat with Jen and Caroline. Watch the replay now on CBS.com. So Jen and Caroline, maybe I don't know. That's what the data is telling them. We need Jen and Caroline video interviews. If you're going to do a video interview with anybody from this season, I guess that's the way to go, right?
Exactly. I don't know why they did that. I'm not sure. The CBS, but I know I saw them do a lot of things that day in LA. I don't know. They're doing a lot of promotions, but I have no idea why CBS would ask them to come in and do that when they haven't done that before, really. So
it's interesting. Okay, let's take another question. This is from Alex G, who wants to know, wait, how does the Express Pass U-turn work? If the Cowboys get U-turned, can they play it on the second side of the detour only, or will they pull a Tim and Marie and just pull the Express Pass at the first detail? Okay. All right, let's start this one with Tim. Do you have any thoughts on this of how to play the Express Pass on the double U-turn?
Well, I'm not sure when they're going to have to use the Express Pass because in our race, you got to use it by the 8th leg, and this is the 8th leg. So if that's the case, I would go ahead and burn it and get past that double U-turn. But if they say that you can hold the Express Pass to a later date, I would probably just burn it if I got U-turn.
Okay, so you would use it not to get to the front of the pack to get ahead of everybody that could U-turn you, but just save it in case somebody U-turned you.
Yeah, exactly. Because all the teams might be competitive enough and be like, oh, the Cowboys have the Express Pass, let's go ahead and U-turn them, so they have to burn it. But right now, I'm not seeing a lot of teams that would do that. I would, if there was some teams, I would say Leo and Jamal might, and Brandon and Rachel. But other than that, I don't see Dave and Connor, Caroline or Jen, or Flight Time and Big Easy doing that on them. So it's the odds number, I guess you would say.
Brandon, do you agree with that? Is that the right way to go?
No, I'd jump right to the double U-turn thing. I mean, why wouldn't you? It really depends on if you need to use it by that leg. Because, I mean, if you're ahead, you can see where everybody is sometimes, and if you know that you're ahead, wait and see if you got U-turned, and if you did, use it then. Or jump to, I mean, you could do it either way. It's really, like Tim said, it would really depend on if they have to use it.
Jess, what do you think is the right call? What would you do?
I feel like Travis and Nicole played it the best with their express pass. It was like, here's the U-turn. We're there before everybody else. Let's stay out in front,
And then would you U-turn somebody also when you get there first, or you just leave that for the team at the back of the pack?
I don't think you necessarily, if you don't need to. Like, the U-turn is one of those things where you want to use it on someone that you're not going to see again. If you're going to use it, you want to make sure it doesn't come back on you.
Yeah, it's like a hit where it's like if you use it on somebody, you want to make sure they go home. You don't want to botch that, and it's like, oh, it's you. Oh, Brandon, is that the right call?
Yeah, it's an awkward plane ride otherwise.
Yeah.
Whenever we U-turned the Afghanimals, we actually rode in the train to Austria together, and we actually bunked together in the same cabin. Me, Leo, Jamal, and Ashley, I think it was, right after I got done U-turn. That was the most awkward train ride that I've ever been on.
But I feel like you kind of got a pass on that because everyone was mad at them for U-turning us.
Yeah, they were pretty pissed off about that. And whenever we're at the U-turn, we didn't think about this, Travis and Nicole, and us whenever we did it. But we thought about it right after it happened, but it was too late. We U-turned the Afghanimals, and we talked to Travis and Nicole, and they should have U-turned Jason and Amy. They knew Jason and Amy already passed the U-turn board, and so that would burn up the second slot, which would put the Afghanimals doing both detours, the only team, which probably would have sent them home.
Well, a lot of that was, we don't have to get in that, but yeah, a lot of that was because we didn't want to join in anybody's alliance. Like, they offered to do stuff like that to us, and we said no. Because, if you're going to U-turn somebody, I have no problem because it's part of the game. But
yeah,
to do it just regardless of where the people are behind you, or just, because they're a certain team, I didn't like that idea, and so that's why we denied that and subsequently got sent home, but that's all right.
And before that leg, we were talking, and everybody's like, yeah, we'll U-turn the Afghanimals, except Brandon and Adam. They're like the only team that wouldn't say that. And so, like, whenever we got to the U-turn board, we're surprised that they weren't U-turned. So we just went ahead and did it. But also, we didn't know there was any other teams behind us because when we got to the dancing, we were there like 45 minutes before any other team, but we couldn't dance to save our lives. And then we finally got done, and the only other team we saw was Leo and Jamal when we were leaving, and all the other teams we assumed did the other detour, and that's the only reason we U-turned the Afghanimals.
Okay, let's go to another question from Nick. He wants to know, do teams have to book seats adjacent to each other for the flights? When you have to book all these tickets between yourselves and then production, do they need to be next to each other?
Nope, they can be anywhere on the plane.
Yep.